Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second episode of the AllJazz podcast. I'm making this intro a little bit different today because we unfortunately had a catastrophe and lost the audio, the original audio from the podcaster, the Rode podcaster machine, and I was a bit upset, of course, but we managed to save the audio from one of the cameras, and my wife was kind enough to spend some time to clean the audio up a little bit, but it's not going to be at the quality we wanted, of course, so we apologize for that, but we hope that you enjoyed this next conversation, because our next guest was actually responsible for us getting everything in order to manage to produce the podcast and get it out there for you all. And please enjoy the next conversation with Marcel van der Velde, a hacker, military officer, and a radio personality. So please enjoy. Yes, we are on. Welcome to another AllJazz podcast. It's number 2 of the official recording, so we're just not going to call it official recording anymore. It's number 2 with today a very special guest, which like I said, we're not going to mention every time. It's a special guest today, in morning.
We're all special, right?
We're all special.
We're all special.
To me, everybody is special, but some people I call them very special. Today with our guest, let's give the name out. It's Marcel van der Velde. Is that how you do it?
It's very well for someone who doesn't speak native Dutch.
I try. So that would be the pronounced van der Velde.
Van der Velde.
Van der Velde.
So you're very, very close.
Yes. Okay.
For non-Dutch.
Non-Dutch. Yeah, I try. Let's see. So welcome. Thank you. Why I say very special? Because when I started to think about trying to start a podcast and a little, kind of format that I'm trying to put out for magic and for other stuff that I'm interested in, I was pointed to your direction. I don't remember the guy's name right now. I have to apologize. Maybe you know. Somebody connected us. We have to come back on that. We'll put the name there if I find it. Okay.
Just put it in the screen somewhere.
Exactly. But there was one person that felt a bit overwhelmed with my ideas, what I want, and said, I'm not the guy for you, and pointed me towards your direction. And you have helped me so much to understand what it's about, what I need based on the sound. And so I want to start, just a conversation about you first a little bit. You were born in the Netherlands?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to go a little bit through your childhood, or what you think is important for where you have ended up now today? And you don't have to talk about your childhood, but just so we have a little context why you're here.
Okay. So as long as I don't have to lay down on a couch and give you all my life, and you'll be taking notes. Little. I have been doing this for quite a long time. Actually, next year I'm 51 now, and next year I'll be 52. This will be my 40th anniversary doing radio.
Really?
I've been doing radio stuff since I was 12.
Wow.
So this is very young to start with. Of course, you.
And why 12? Well, how did that happen?
Well, I have to say I had an uncle. He deceased some time ago, and he took me to visit the studios in Hilversum.
Okay.
Just around my 12th birthday, and said, "Well, look, this is very nice, and I work here, and I'll show you where I work." And so I was fascinated.
By you're smart. How you come inside the studio?
Yeah, and these guys were working with music, and they played all these, and they said, "Well, we played music here, and everyone can hear it in the entire country." And I was like, "Oh, so if I press this button here, anyone will hear it." And I was fascinated, and always you work with music for a living, this is what you do. So not long after that, I applied for a children's show, of course, with a local illegal radio station in Amsterdam.
How do you mean illegal?
Well, in these days, radio for regular folks.
What was that? 1990s, 80s?
No, earlier, 82.
82.
So that was just not possible. There was the big radio stations,
Yeah.
and there was nothing else. So there were some guys making radio illegally and having secret transmissions.
Like hacking the stations,
Well, it's
or
not really
making their own
probably
transmissions, or
Yes, yes. So they had there were a few in Amsterdam. I remember Decibel and Unique, where I was, and there were some other really big stations, very popular as well. They were in their own area. They were more popular than the national stations. So and I applied for a children's show on one of these, and I did it for a couple of years. So then it grows on you. It starts being well. Yes, sometimes.
So you went to school for that, or just experience?
Not yet. So I was bumbling about and just learning a lot from the guys teaching me there. So I had some mentors. The guys have been doing that for years, and you have to do it like that, and you have to do it like that.
But that was already a job at that point. You were getting
no, it was just hobby and
just being there around people.
I want to play with music. I want to, and after a while, I think I was 16, 17. I started doing more serious shows and just learning to be a normal DJ. Not a kid blurting out music titles all wrong and stuff wrong. But I was learning to be a little more serious. And about in the end of the 80s, 89, maybe 90, there was a bill accepted by law that made it possible to have local radio stations.
Okay.
With a permit. And so, of course, I followed along. There was a local radio station near where I lived. And I said, okay, I want to be one of your DJs here.
Amazing.
And this was all still volunteer work, so this was just hobby. And I came to talk. This was a big turning point, I think 94 or something like that, 95. A big turning point. I got to talk with some guy, and he said, well, I work at a radio station in Rotterdam, and it's quite a big radio station there. Rotterdam's a big city, so we have this big radio station there. And well, you should come and visit, and this is very nice. Well, I'm looking for someone who can, fill in for. There's a night show. Yeah. And I'm looking for someone just to fill in. And I said, okay, look, I could do that, but I think it would be fun to be on a really big radio station, right? Because in these days they had 1.2 million listeners for the entire region. You could hear it from Amsterdam, from Rotterdam all the way to Utrecht. You can hear. So it was a big station. So and very popular as well. So this was, for me, it was actually kind of an honor to be there.
Were you afraid to go, or you just had like this natural tendency to?
No, in these days I was
fearless,
a bit cocky. I'm a good DJ, so I can do this, no problem. And so when you get there, I discovered only when I got there that this guy was not just one of the volunteers doing the same stuff as I did and have this program. He wanted someone to fill in. Now this guy was actually the boss, and and he offered me a job. It wasn't a volunteer job. He said, "This is a paid job. I want you here for the summer. This guy doing the night shifts, he's gone for the summer, so I want you to." It's 4 nights a week. Here is a salary, and just go and do your stuff. So this was very nice.
Wow, and you were 18 at that time, or 19?
Well, a little older.
A little older,
A little older, mid-20s, I think.
Okay.
So,
but you had a lot of experience already at that time behind you, and
of course. So
that cockiness was a bit, I wouldn't call it. It was just being sure, like your skills.
Well, no, it was cocky.
Well, cocky. Okay. Good that you're being honest.
I still am sometimes.
Well, you have to do certain things, otherwise.
But this was actually in some kind of very nice flow, because when I did that for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
This guy called me, and this is kind of a funny story. He was the boss of a national radio station,
Okay.
538. It's very big.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah. So and he called me in the morning. He dialed the studio number, so I got this guy on the phone, and I was doing my show. But of course, you can imagine when you're there from 12 to 6, and at 6 a.m. someone calls you, and you're like, yeah, well, okay, man, that's a funny joke. I don't know, but you're obviously not that guy at 6 in the morning calling me. He said, well, if you don't believe me, just call the radio station. Call 538. You look up the number and you call, and they'll patch you through, and we'll talk. Yeah. I said, well, okay. So I remember that.
Your feelings were just like, there's no way.
There's no fucking way. So I'm. Is this a family show?
Well, we keep it open, okay, but so, we can forgive you for a few.
I'll watch mine.
No problem. On the Patreon, reach us on the Patreon. We'll be a bit more open there. Next in a few.
So this, and I remember not calling this guy back because I was like, oh man, I'm tired, I'm going home, and I live in Amsterdam. It's an hour drive to get there, and I'll see about this. So I went home, I went to sleep, and in the afternoon, somewhere around 3, I woke up and I was like, okay, so what was this? This morning, this was a funny joke, I think, but I'll see about it. And I called my colleagues with the radio station, who was this funny guy, because it sounded pretty real. And they all said, well, it wasn't me, I don't know, but...
So you started investigating with friends, like, who did it?
Okay, I decided to actually call 538 and say, look, this morning something happened, probably a joke, but I want to make sure, so... And they patched me through to this guy. He said, what took you so long, dude?
Amazing.
I was like, oh, so this was
real?
And okay, so he said, look, if you like, we can talk. And we have a position here because we are starting with night shows as well. And you can come over here and work for us.
Wow.
So this was like it's like your dream.
Yeah.
It's for magicians. This is probably like Vegas or something.
Yeah, having a spot in Vegas.
This is a national radio station, very popular as well. Lots of guys wanting to have that position there, even for the night. And,
so even in the community of peers of radio station, this was like accepted. This is where you want to kind of.
This was
go.
At least that was how I perceived it.
Okay.
And now the story starts to get a little.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
I went to work there and it sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked like a Hoover. It was.
Yeah, I mean, I have no affiliation with 538, and if don't cancel me because you can't. I'm not gonna be anywhere else on the internet. So
we do our own show, so you can't cancel it.
Everybody can be now an average. I'm not even an average radio. I'm just some schmuck who started a radio station I don't even want to call this radio. It's gonna be video and everything.
It's a podcast.
But it's a podcast. It's gonna be out there in the ether.
Yeah, it's 2021, so it's a podcast.
Exactly. And what did you didn't like there, like at first? What was the first thing?
When I was at the kind of local, but in Rotterdam, I had a lot of freedom. The boss of the ad radio station, he gave me a lot of freedom. He said, look, this is the night shit, I don't care. In the day, we have to be kind of commercial, and we have this format, and I would like you to follow the format a little, but do your stuff and do some crazy stuff.
And the language was also not a problem, but you had to go through.
Oh no, I could kind of do what he. I remember him saying, "Look, as long as I don't have to talk to the police,
we're good.
Fine.
As long as you're not inciting riots and everything."
Well, in a way, he did have to talk to the police because something happened.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, you can share the story, or you want to go get there first.
That's for the Patreon.
Oh, okay. That's another plug. Professional talking.
This is very good.
Okay, let's
remind me that to talk about why they had to call
the police and 538. Okay.
No, 538.
No,
the Rotterdam guys.
The Rotterdam. Okay. The night shift. Okay, night shift. So police had to.
Police got involved, and it was good.
Let's get in there.
Good story.
Mental note. Okay.
But when I got to 538, it was like You know the old movies where they have hard labor with this ball and chain to your foot, where you
image.
can
And the stripe, black
this
and
is
white.
how it felt, exactly that. So
Like you were so.
imagine this: you are the only one in the building
Mm-hmm.
because it's middle of the night, so there's no one there. So you're the only one in the building.
So now we're talking about 538.
538. That's why
Okay,
it sucked.
yeah.
So you have this computer
Yeah.
picking out all your music. You have no saying whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, there is little red dots telling you where you may speak.
Oh no! So you have like these like snippets where you can say
And
something.
also with a timer attached to it, where you can speak for 20 seconds, 25 seconds, 40 seconds, 13 seconds.
So wait, before we go further, I might want to go there with this question, is there even then any talking points that they give you that you have to follow, or like...
No, what they said was basically, you have 13 seconds, be funny, and don't forget to announce the weather.
Oh, okay.
And this was, that's...
So announce the next thing, or whatever it is.
And besides that, you're tired, and you're the only one in the building, so it's boring as fuck. You can't do anything because the music is all laid out for you, and I once compared it to working in a factory packing toothpaste.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. You press your button and let's say something funny. Have you heard the one about I don't know.
There's no context even about
it. There's nothing.
Wow.
So, and this was in Rotterdam. I had a small team. We were 2 or 3 of us just to have fun, and it was totally different.
I can't imagine what a kind of person is needed even to do that job. Even like There isn't, because just leave it to the computer. They can play the music. It's like, why are you gonna? If you have a personality on radio, use the personality. Like, leave them some space for.
And
something.
the image they gave me, they gave me the impression that once you get here, you can go and develop yourself to be a personality on a night show, and in the night show you can do all kinds of weird shit. Because
how are you going to?
That's what you did in Rotterdam as well, so that's why we want you. And I thought, this would be awesome. I do the same thing. We have a lot of fun, but it's national. But that wasn't the case. So
and how did you so that was immediately apparent to you that this is now not what I want. Like
I fulfilled my contract, and
was it a year or?
Bye-bye. So it was kind of short. It was a year, maybe half a year even. I don't remember. It felt like 10 years.
Just like, wow, okay, this is not what I want to do.
This is not what I want to do. And that's after that, I think this was 98 or something like that. I started my own company. And started just facilitating stuff for radio, for television.
So you mean like you get equipment and you help them do stuff?
And by that time I also went to school for it. So
that was my question. Wanted to kind of get some context, because you did then go to school based on your experience, and you kind of wanted to know technically more. What does it take to run this kind of business? Yeah,
this was in the time where I basically started to develop from being a local volunteer to wanting to be more professional. So I went to school, and this was the Media Academy in Hilversum. Institute.
I know a little bit about the school system now. What is this level of, because you had to
go higher education.
So you had to be HAVO at least HAVO education in your, or you had to be VWO.
No, not really. No, you could just go there and apply, but you had to do an intake test to show that you really know
base knowledge about
And it's not university, not really, but
like a higher education of specific.
Yes, HBO.
HBO.
So that's what it was, and I did it for years actually. So 2 years. I chose to because it was modular, so you could kind of. In these days, you could kind of fix your own program, and I said, okay, I want to learn about radio, about all the techniques, So wires and plugs and all the stuff that put it together, all the techniques.
To make it make sense to you as well, huh?
Yeah. To know what you can, what's possible, what's not possible, why it doesn't. So I want to know how it works. Okay. And it's the hacker in me. I want to know everything. So
okay, that we're gonna touch on that hacking a little bit, but
yeah, this
at your leisure.
I did later on. Well, maybe a little parallel as well, but more on that maybe later. So I wanted to know all about technical stuff.
Yeah.
After that, I did 1 year. I wanted to know about production, directing. How do you put together a good show?
Yeah.
So you have all this stuff, and that's fine. It works. So now, how do you produce a good show? What is a good show anyway? Because is
content or what is the direction?
Exactly.
You want to keep to a theme or
how do you do that? That was the second year, and after that I did 2 more years, basically the same for television. So I did a technical year for television, and after that I did directing, producing. How do you make a TV show?
Yeah, and now I'm getting all this free knowledge just by being friends with you. I get to learn how to set up the cameras, how this equipment works. It's
you're
amazing.
teaching me magic, right? So
yes, definitely,
that's very nice.
Definitely. But you don't contact me often enough. I want to share more.
Okay.
I'm putting you on the spot here. We are now at home, Zoom, Skype, whatever you want. 20 minutes, learn something new, some concepts,
we need to do more.
Let's do that. I'm also a bit of what do you call? What's that word? Not a hamster, but just keeping more to them. So I like my family and my close friends, and I don't like to, but I like to meet people as well. So that's kind of a little bit of a have to get out of my shell to do that. So I want to contact you as well. I'll put in my mental note. But if you want to learn from me, do that too as well. Contact me as well.
We should go to a bar and
now
stuff.
We're close enough here. It's
okay.
Yeah, but now I don't have a car anymore. We just recently put out our diesel. Got some money for it as well from the municipality, like a 970 euro bond for either you can decide to have public transport or even the green wheels, renting the car.
Oh, that's very nice.
So now we're without a car. So because I can rent, I can always come anywhere as well.
Oh yeah, sure.
For coffee.
I can come here as well. It's no problem.
Good to know. Okay, so going on, you were now studying. You finished the television stuff?
Yeah, I've done studies, and after I stopped, after I finished them, I started my own company.
So you were in the 538 while you were studying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just finishing my studies there.
So it kind of time-wise, it kind of correlated as well nicely that you just, figure out this is not what I want, I finish my studies, and then I go into my own...
Yes, it was, because initially I was just, look, I'm getting all these opportunities now to be a professional, and I want to, have my skills as well to be professional. So I cannot just learn it over there. Where actually I did learn a lot. Also with 538, but with Rotterdam I learned even more. It was
but even with the bad experiences, you learn what you don't want in this kind of
course. You learn what you don't want to do, and this is very important as well.
Exactly.
You shouldn't just keep staring like, I want to be this national DJ, because
not being famous for the fame itself,
it might suck, So
and most of the times I hear it does, the fame itself. Even people who are, it's different now with the IG and Instagram and becoming famous for being famous. But that's another topic to discuss. So further on, what happened then? When you started your company? Did you come into some troubles or figure out
really.
You had so much knowledge that you just were able to just kind of?
Well, we had this little, when I did all of this, I was alone, no girlfriend, nothing, which is bumbling on again. That was good. But I realized that when I did this and I was full time in media, I did a lot of crazy stuff. I did very big movie productions that were taped in Amsterdam, so I could have a part in that to help out. I could, I learned some acting there, so I could also, try to get into that world and play little roles, and it was a lot of fun. But You know, with the 538 experience, I'm like, okay, maybe I don't really want to be a TV personality because that could be exactly the same. Also sucks, so I don't want to do that. But I want to know all the different things, and that's also the hacker mindset that I have. I want to know learning. All these. You know, when I work with actors, I want to know how does this work. I want to learn.
But as a hacker, you also want to kind of fix things as well, make them better, or right?
Yeah. So this is what a hacker does. A hacker has one mantra, and that's how.
Here we go in the hacking. I got you guys. I got you.
The hacker mantra is how does this work, and not just okay. When I press this button here, there's this music.
Yeah. This is how I think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to know. Okay, what's under here? Why does it work? Why does it fail? And when it fails, what can I do to fix it? And even if it does work, could I improve it in some way?
Exactly, yeah.
And this is what hackers do, contrary to what you hear in the media, because the media is
very negative, like
there's this hacker,
anti-establishment,
they
breaking
broke into and stealing all your bitcoins. This is not what a hacker is.
There might be fringe people who, like in everything that we do, there's people who we. Like there's a lot of magicians that I meet that I can't agree with, you know, like in a human level or whatever, you know, not as a magician, but
there's also, I think there is crooked stamp collectors.
Yeah.
And evil
sock makers or something.
Yeah, whatever. So and of course, the hackers, guys that tinker with electronics and technique and all the stuff, and it's not just that. It's not that we only do computers. You can hack humans as well. You can. I know.
I get always reminded about this maybe a few years ago. I found out through the Joe Rogan experience about some kind of bacteria or worm that needs to get to water to live there, but it cannot procreate there. So like eggs have to be out of water. And this little bacteria or worm or whatever it is, the nature found a way how to. It gets into a grasshopper, this worm, somehow, goes into the brain of the grasshopper, and the grasshopper commits suicide, jumps into the water, kills itself.
Okay. Well,
and I mean, you have to research your own. This is how I found out. But there's also a way where how nature has even managed to hack the nervous system or something to make a living thing do something.
Of course. And basically what hacking is looking into how does this work and how can I tweak it and how can I improve it and how can I use it in other ways.
When you find vulnerabilities, there's a place where you have to decide if I'm gonna now use that against something or be like more morally ethical and tell people who have this loophole to be able to fix it better.
Yeah, and it's even a little more complicated than that because let me first finish.
Yes, go ahead.
Hacking humans. Yeah. Basically, people are a biochemical system, which is a system, of course. And if you know how it works, you can hack it. Yeah. So I know this lady. She is a baker. And she had this very high-paying job at a research facility, and she discovered that I like to hack pastries. I know how to bake a very, very good bread because I do this in a mix. I mix it a little with that. I have this special way of heating it, and I have this, and I can do this. And she makes a very unique bread. And she is hacking food, basically. And this is going very well for her. She quit her high-paying job and she's a full-time baker now, doing very well for herself because this is something.
This is how we hacked fruits, and that's why the potatoes are not tomato. Tomatoes are not the way they used to be. Like they used to be small, and then we kind of like. But that's already like different thing. It's hacking basically the genes that have been crossing them and putting together.
That's also, of course, hacking because we are looking at this is genetics level. We can tweak this, but also maybe just being a little simpler. Okay, if we don't grow it like that, we just grow it a little more like there, and we have more or less sunlight, and we can tweak a little this and tweak a little that, and we get a better product. Yeah. So it doesn't always have to be GMO or whatever. It's just you try to tweak all the.
Yeah, I mean, it's nowadays I feel that it's about like the science has become attacked as a religion, because in some cases they do come together. It comes off as like this. No science has all the answers, which it doesn't. And that's what science does. It tries to get as much as it can. It tries to disprove itself, and all the time to make sure, like, you know, it's so fascinating to me, this way of thinking. But it's like people who claim that science is trying to have this religion behind itself. Is like, in general, there might be some fringe places where people are using science to manipulate people, you know, for their own agenda or whatever. But in general, I think that science is one of the most natural things that we have ever come up with or
I can
created.
really recommend a book by Michael McDonald, or Hector McDonald. Michael McDonald is a singer.
Okay, Hector?
You can hear the DJ in me. Hector McDonald, he wrote a book called Truth. And he says, well, there's not one truth, but there's many truths. When you look at a situation, it is for one person it could be totally different than for another person looking at the same situation. So you really have to, you know.
Science tries to be objective, but you can't be completely.
That's very hard, and you can read that in his book. That there is always truth is always partial, because there is always, you know, you have your own filter and your own way of looking at it. And truth is sometimes it's subjective, because, you know, and it's it can be artificial. People spinning the truth or putting it in a
double speak or whatever,
and stuff like that. So this book is really, really interesting.
Good.
When you're a scientist and you read this book, you think, okay, look, there's more to it than just proving that this. I can prove that your banner over here is mainly white, red.
I can agree.
Black,
we might see different shade of white, but we can agree on it.
We can agree on that because we can observe it and see. Hey, look, this is. Exactly.
Science is limited to the things that you can actually test and observe and but they try to, like, I'm fascinated how they're trying now with the AI and trying to create consciousness, you know, in a sense, you know, they're debating, is it possible or not? Some are on the fence, it's inevitable that it will come up because they see the consciousness of us as well, only biological, like, in a sense, it had to be built to come out. Once you're gone, there's no consciousness when you sleep. But some people say, even scientists, some believe, because they're religious, they believe that we are a vessel, that it's a projection, which is also possible, that it's something outside that's projected in through us and then gets out, that's fascinating,
it's turning philosophical real quick.
Very quickly.
If you look at the work of Daniel Kahneman, he writes a lot of, this is science, but almost philosophical. You look at the same banner and I say, okay, look, it's white. With black and red letter. We can observe that.
Yes.
But when I say, that's a very nice banner, you know, it's a beautiful banner.
I don't like it anymore. You know, we can start debating.
Exactly, you know, so this is where it starts to...
Actually, I like it very much. I like the way it came up. The thing is, I didn't create all this.
What you did with the podcast.
With the podcast, we might change it up in the future. We should, but for now...
This is funny. It's exactly how it should be, right?
And this is the only way how I can, like, really make a nice... Like, I don't... Like, as a child, remember, this was the first time I started doing, like, these 3D letters and stuff. It was always like, everybody was so fascinated, but I was like, that's so easy. It's just like just geometry, you know, like
make a little shade.
Yeah.
But I like the way you know, it's just originals, obviously, but you tape podcast because maybe I would just keep it this way.
For now, it's definitely gonna stay because I like the vibe of it.
It's funny. It's nice.
I'm happy that you like it. Yeah. But then this is like what you said. We can start agreeing on something, but it's also we have to be aware that you have probably different reasons why you like it. I'm emotionally too connected to it a little bit. It's my name that's turned like this, and
so that's where truth gets to be shady. And it's very interesting if you're a scientist. Because. I didn't tell you that yet, but after doing this media studies, I just went to college as well. So
to college.
And
for also this direction technical side of the... Computers?
Yes, so this was...
because of the hacking that you were interested in hacking, that you wanted to go more into programming and...
I can... this is also for the Patreon because the hacking, there is also good stories to tell. And
good. I want to focus also on magic on the Patreon as well. Like we're gonna add, but
I was taught to if you want to do good production, good production value, you keep the good stories for the Patreons.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I think it's not about not being open and trying to like hide stuff, but it's more about if somebody wants to if they like what we're doing here already and the vibe of it, then why not support a little bit and you can get
it
extra.
It has to be rewarding, right?
Exactly.
So you can say, okay, there's always also this Patreon, you can pay a little and listen more, but there has to be extra value in there.
Exactly. That's why I'm built. That's why when I see Patreons popping up, and I like also like especially the project that my friend Rico and his friend Alvaro from Spain are doing together, the Invisible Practice that they started, it's a little bit podcast behind it as well. I love when people do this, but it's just I personally want to have a bit more content to put immediately on the Patreon for people to look. You get this immediately, and then we just keep making content like this.
Yeah. So remind me the way I started hacking to tell you the good story.
The good story,
basically.
Tell one good story for them as well. No, keep that one for later.
Well, yeah, okay. I'll tell you one.
See, we are very close to an emergency line here.
The police is already on to us, right? There's a hacker there. Let's go and arrest.
It's because of that phone there. Everything else is not connected.
But we are very connected. We are wearing smartwatches and we have these phones and all the stuff. But look, okay, so I'll tell you about hacking a little, and this is...
how did you get, can you tell how you got into the hacking? Why specifically?
Yeah, well, I think I was 14, something like that, also very young, and I was tinkering, of course, with the radio and doing music, but I started to take apart my own stuff, because I had this very cheap mixer, and it was... I didn't really do what I needed it to, and I needed an extra microphone, and it was... a pickup. I don't know if you remember the old pickups where you put the records on with needle and.
Oh yeah, my father had one of something. Yeah.
Well, for people who don't know, a normal line level equipment gives 200 millivolts. So if you have a CD player or anything or MP3, 200 millivolts. That's the power, the amount of power that it gives. Microphones, they are a lot less because you have to do extra amplification inside here. They are only 2 millivolts. So
that's why it says here that it has like preamps here inside.
Yeah, so 2 millivolts. That's quite low. So you really have to amplify that to get the same amount of electricity to flow through all your systems. And but you need your microphone preamps, and you didn't need to preamp the other things because they're line level. The only thing that was the old-fashioned record players, they were 20 millivolts, so there was somewhere in between there. Okay. And I didn't need record players because I had them, but I wanted to.
So you just took that thing apart, or?
So I took it apart and altered the preamp to be able to amplify my microphone sufficiently. And I started tinkering with this, and I thought, okay, look, you can do so much more with only this and all the electronics. And you can do. So that's where basically it started, taking apart my own stuff. Yeah. And trying
making it better.
Trying to improve on it. Yeah. And it resulted in friends coming over and said, what did you do? What is this? So I built it myself, but it worked like a charm, Okay, but it looks like crap, but I don't know, but it works. When I was also 15 maybe, we discovered that first we discovered something else, but this story is really for the Patreon. Okay. So
never mind.
It's a bit shady.
Shady. So okay, we'll leave that for now.
There was one thing we discovered in phone booths. Remember phone booths?
Yes. But they called them phone freaking or something like that.
Yes, and there was this guy in the United States. They call him Captain Crunch. Yeah. And he discovered that when you whistle a tone of 2600 hertz, the phones start acting up. they did something very weird.
Jams it or something.
No. The call went through as it was like you have already put it in your quarter, like it was paid for. So he discovered that there was a way to manipulate this
so
dispatch
with the special whistle sound.
Yeah, that he discovered this guy was blind, and John Draper, that was his real name. He was blind and he had absolute pitch. He could really hear, and he discovered that on the phone line when you were talking, there were also this really high-pitched, almost non-audible tones going.
Because I just tested. My son just tested me with this like this. I had it around 18,000, or I lost it.
That's quite good.
Right, or I think he was at 18 and I was 16 and a half or 17 somewhere.
These tones were pretty high and they were not really audible, but still they were there. And he was like, "What are those? You know, what are those?" And he started to mimic them. And
he could probably hear a lot more because he was blind. There was
exactly.
a sensitivity. Yeah.
So, and he figured out that this was the way the telephone system communicated with the dispatch. So they sent these tones to tell the dispatch, look, this call has been paid for. When you put in a quarter, it was, and it
sends
it told the operator, the dispatch, that this is a paid call, so you can put it through.
Yes.
So he started to mimic this tones, and there were some other tones you could use to do all kinds of freaky stuff in the telephone system. And he developed a little system he called a blue box.
Okay.
And you could use a blue box to just put it on the receiver and just press all these buttons and have the dispatch do all kinds of crazy stuff. So this is what John Draper did.
Wow.
We discovered here in the Netherlands with a small group of very young hackers that it was possible to this. Bear with me for this one.
Yes, of course. That's why we're here. This is why I wanted this podcast.
So okay, bear with me. So we were trying to figure out if this was possible in the Dutch telephone system with blue boxing and stuff, and it didn't really work. So we were. I got curious to how does this telephone know that you pay your money.
You're like here in the Netherlands, how do they know?
And there was a number, toll-free number, 008 in these days. I'm talking 80s, right?
Yes.
And 008, there was information. So if you wanted to look someone up and you didn't have an old-fashioned phone book, this is really old, of course. If you're
I mean, I can kind of still. I was like a small child in the beginning of the 90s, like so I can kind of.
Grandpa talking, you know. But this is what happened.
But this is the history of where we come from.
Yeah, you could call this information and you say, look, I'm looking for Mr. McManus. He lives in Amsterdam, and what's the number? And they gave you his number, and you can call. So if you hung up the phone, you got your quarter back. So it was toll-free, so it didn't use up your quarter, so it gave it back, so you could use it to make the actual call to Mr. And I was curious at first, and this gives you a little insight in the hacker mindset, what we do. I was curious, like, okay, is this toll-free only in a phone booth? Because you need to use the quarter for the actual call, or is this actually, when you call it from home, is it also toll-free?
Yeah, because at that time you just already have like the phone.
The regular wired
phone connected
old phones. So the plain old telephone system we call it, bots. And
the ones with the little numbers.
Yeah. So I looked. I started looking at my parents' phone bill, and I called 008 a few times, and you know, just asking for bogus numbers. Oh, I'm looking for this guy. I'm looking for that guy. I got the numbers, so that was good. And I went to look at the phone bill. And I saw that this number was billed. So in your home phone, it was actually a paid number. You got billed for that.
So the paid phones the public ones you could call.
Yeah. So this was a discrepancy. I was like, okay, so but how does this phone know that it's a free call? Yeah. Which is it isn't. Yeah. It is not a free call, but for this phone booth, it is. Yes. How does it work? Because if I can mimic to be a phone booth, maybe I can make other free calls. Yeah. So this was interesting. And Well, we were looking for, okay, is there any tones going over the line? Can we detect stuff? And it went as far we actually, we opened the phone booth, the wire box below it.
Yes.
In the 80s, that was pretty easy to do because it was a one key fits all, you know. And we opened it up and we started taking measurements on the actual wire. So we were looking like,
physically
okay,
on the wire that goes, okay.
yeah, so what happens on this wire anytime the phone takes one of your quarters? And we saw that it was just before the quarter fell through, there was this little pulse.
Okay.
This little pulse telling the phone to take your quarter. So the dispatch told this phone, okay, now take a quarter, now take a quarter, now take a quarter. And it did so with a very slight pulse on the electrical wiring.
Yeah.
So more on that in the Patreon.
Yes.
But we discovered, look, this is weird because when I press 008,
Yeah.
this phone knows that this is a free call, but the pulse still comes. So this dispatch, it doesn't know. It sends the pulse anyway.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
but the phone is wise enough to
I don't know for my audience, but I'm kind of lost already.
No, the phone is you know, this
Yeah.
the dispatcher, okay, this is a paid call, take a quarter.
Yeah.
And this phone doesn't. So in some way this phone knew
New.
that if someone presses 008, it should not take a quarter.
Okay.
That
So you're
is
trying to
logic.
find that specific signal.
So there's that we've thought, okay, this is logic in the phone system, in the telephone itself,
Yeah.
in this device. This device knows that if you press 008, it is a free call.
Yeah. So now you're
So
trying to
it
figure out
gets-
it's at home.
It does get all the pulses to take the quarters, but it ignores them. So, okay, look, if only there was a way to dial a number, but have the phone think I only dialed 008. Then it would be, and that's where we, in that time,
With that little pulse that you found there.
yeah, it was still there. So the pulse is not really important.
Yeah.
Really important. But the thing to know is that the dispatch says, look, take a quarter, and the phone says, no, this is
a free call.
This is an
So
exception.
the machine tells them
Yeah.
physically there, so the dispatcher knows, okay,
So
the
what
machine knows.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we did was we recorded the tones, the dial tones to dial a number. You remember the tone?
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
So we dialed a number, someone's number, some friend, and also and I recorded the tones
Okay.
with a memo recorder, and
Yeah.
I played them back in a phone booth. I took the receiver and I played the tones in the receiver, and it started to dial.
Wow.
So this was another way to call without touching the
the
keys,
actual keys,
on
yeah. The keyboard, yeah.
After I dialed a number, I pressed 008 on the keys, and the phone thought,
Oh no, brilliant.
I
It's a free call.
look, I'm
Give me my
ignoring-
quarterback.
Yeah, this is a free call. Okay, I will get all these pulses, but I
Yeah.
can ignore them because it's 008. So
yeah.
so
Also,
we-
the dispatcher would also know then as well, it's a free call. There's no discrepancy for them as well.
the dispatcher was a computer, and it says,
Yeah.
okay, this is a paid call. I will send you all these pulses. And
Yeah.
the phone says, okay, well, you can send me all the pulses you like, but this is 008.
The quarter is going back.
I don't care. So after that, we tried calling someone in China, having a little device mimicking all the tones,
Yeah,
so we
yeah,
could
yeah.
pick the receiver and play the tones in the receiver.
Yes,
And what could be more funny when you're 15 years old and then
exactly. Yeah.
trolling Chinese people in the middle of the night,
That's right.
calling them,
Especially with the-
hi, how's it
Did you guys
hanging?"
have this in picture as young kids that it's way down, that it's down there?
Of course, and when you dial China,
Wow.
it takes a lot of quarters. These
Yeah.
pulses go like tick, 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 tick,
Yeah.
tick, tick. So when you throw in a quarter, you dial this Chinese number by the receiver, and you 008, you see all these pulses, but your quarter stays there.
Oh.
So this was very, very funny. And this
And you knew what you were doing, that you made it out, then you figured it out, and it was probably like this some kind of satisfaction moment as well.
of course, you have this big secret. This big secret that you discovered, and that's
what? Maybe you cannot tell here in the public. Did you guys decide to do something in the end to contact the company of the phone booths, or
this is the actually this is the next part of the discussion, because when you're 15 and it's the 80s, you don't know. You don't know. You have this big secret, and you have this ability to make a free call.
Yeah, why would you share?
And of course, when you just found out this is very funny, and you call 10 Chinese people every day, you have a really big laugh, and after that you don't, you don't really do it anymore. Like it becomes old. But I have this amazing superpower to be able to make free calls, but there was nothing in place in these days to go to
after
you couldn't. Nowadays a lot of companies, also the phone companies, but I know a lot of companies that
can I ask you this before you go? Sorry to interrupt you, but isn't Skype and how Skype started, did they basically hack the phone system?
No, not really. Skype is just a way to send...
or Viber or WhatsApp or whatever.
No, they figured out to send voice over IP.
Yeah, but it's not a hacking of there, but it was so against the established, what they got freaked out probably, these phone companies, hey, somebody can call for free from a machine into my regular phone home.
Sure, and that was their business model was kind of undermined, because there was all kinds of services making it possible for you to call over the internet.
Yeah.
And
because now we don't have this. This is established.
So they need to do something else, But this is just how it works.
Yeah.
But nowadays, when you find something like this, and obviously this was a flaw.
Yeah.
This was something that wasn't meant to be discovered,
Exactly.
So probably the engineers didn't even know about it. Okay, we have this system, and our phone knows to ignore all these pulses. Okay, we built something good. And they didn't know that some 15-year-old would, try to figure out how...
Based on somebody who was deaf, his knowing about him and how he did it.
Of course, but the greatest story comes from the hackers community. There's a lot of great stories there.
Yes.
So, but these guys, they fixed it. After a while, of course, the phone company discovered this trick as well. Probably because we did it. And they said, look, how is this possible?
It has to cost them, or something. They have to find the loophole.
So they fixed it by disabling the microphone in the receiver before the call was established. Exactly. So only if the call is established, they open the microphone. So we couldn't do that anymore. Nowadays we have this thing called responsible disclosure, or coordinated vulnerability disclosure, because they needed a fancier term for it, but I like the old term responsible disclosure. Because that's what you do, and this is a dilemma, and I will use the example of keys. You know what a bump key is?
No idea.
Okay, so if you have a key and you look at a lock,
so that's now I know. My son was trying to learn how to do that. So he was so it goes and it mimics the so it pushes on the cylinders or whatever.
Yeah, but not really. This is you have all these crafts to manipulate a lock with a little pin, and you can push, and you can it's like a mechanical puzzle. So we like this as well. It's a puzzle.
But the bump key that you mentioned is
the bump key is very, very dangerous. You probably know that when you have a key and you insert it in the keyway, there's always keys that will go in but not turn. This you may have encountered, because it's the same make and model, but it's the wrong.
Definitely have.
So when you have a key that fits but doesn't turn, what you do is you take a file and you just file it off very, very short.
The key. Yeah.
So all these little
grooves and
So you file the little bulges, you file them very, very short. So you take the key, you put it in the lock, and you take it back just a little bit, just a very little bit. After that, you take a little something you can hit it with a screwdriver, the back of a screwdriver or something. It doesn't.
Even though he's explaining this, you're not gonna be able to do that. So don't try, okay? So,
well, you could, but
I'm just as a disclaimer.
I'll get to that later.
As a disclaimer.
I'll get to that later. So this is not an issue anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but you pull the key back just a little, and you have something to hit it with. And don't take a rock, because that's way too hard.
Yeah.
But you then just
like a small little.
Yeah, like the back of a screwdriver. It's kind of perfect. And you put a little bit of twist on the key, so you try to turn it just a little bit. Don't force it, but just a little bit, and then you hit it on the back.
Boom.
And what happens in the lock is that all the pins that are interconnected do this, because you hit it, they do this.
Boom, they go out.
Very shortly, they do this. And at this moment,
you can turn.
So exactly. So you have to. This is a bit.
But you said it's not a problem anymore. So now the keys are different locks.
Look at that bump key. It's all over the internet.
And why it's dangerous? You mentioned.
It's dangerous because if you have if I want to burglarize your house, I walk by your door and I look at your lock. Maybe even take a picture with my phone. I go to a locksmith and say, look, I need a blank key for this, and I'm a hobbyist, so I'm trying to, you have this very nice story. Yeah. And also there's locksmiths that just don't care. As long as you pay, okay. So
a bump key is a type of key for a lock then?
It is.
That is not advisable to be made?
No, it's a key that you make, and you take a picture of the lock and you go to locksmith, you look, I'm looking for a key that fits in this one. Yeah. So he gives you one, but obviously it won't turn. So you take this file and you make it very, very short, and then you have your bump key. So you come back, you do the thing, and you open the lock. And if you are,
because I thought maybe it was my confusion. I thought it was dangerous for you to use it to.
No. It's very dangerous because it doesn't leave any trace. It does this with your lock, and it opens up like normal. So it's very hard for forensics to see that anyone has even been there. So you can imagine insurance companies.
They could be like, oh, nobody broke in the house.
There is no burglary because how? So this was a problem. In when we discovered this, it was a problem. And actually, we did discover that it was a technique we could use, but it was already there. There were also other. Gangs already using it. So we didn't discover anything new. We discovered that this is a trick we could use. And look, people are already doing this.
So when you take it back to the responsible disclosure, what do you do then?
So the guys that ran our little club of hobbyists tinkering locks, they went to this factory and said, look, we seen that there is something like a bump key, we can demonstrate. Look, here your lock is now open. So this is you need to do something about it. Okay. And that turned out to be very, very hard because what are you gonna do? The mechanics of a lock, they are. This is how a lock works. So nowadays we have locks that are just made differently, and they have.
That's what I was thinking. So it's not a problem that they can't really do this anymore, or they can.
Well, if you have a very old lock.
I'm talking to you. Don't do it.
If you have an old lock, just the old-fashioned lips or whatever, you could do this. So the advice is not to rely just on one lock. Yeah,
we have like this here. We have like the top one here that
with the pin, the pins, and something else. Get an alarm system.
Or just have a door like we have that you barely can't open.
Yeah, exactly. You have to put your shoulder in it. You can't do it without.
Hey, Frederick, please fix our door. We're writing official letters, so please.
Don't, because it's easier this way. You can't break in without making noise. So,
but that's not the only issue.
Seriously, go fix the door.
Yes. And the tap, please.
Yeah.
My goodness.
We went to talk to these guys. Said, look, this is a problem. And said, well, it's a very hard thing to fix, and we'd rather you don't talk about it. And we were like we are publishing our own little magazine, and we are, trying to write stuff for the internet.
Yes.
And we want to
get a community going.
But look, but if you tell people how this works, that's very dangerous because we are teaching you to break into houses.
No, we're not. But but it is. You give information.
Of course, that was their argument.
Yes.
But our argument was, look, the real criminals, they already know this.
Exactly.
The only thing we are doing is telling people their lock is not safe.
Exactly.
And that you need to do
Another
something
protection.
about it.
Add a second, third layer or whatever.
Exactly. And this is where the discussion started, and it hasn't stopped since.
You see, that's why now it makes my whole world is now a bit more structured and understandable since because I was always like, why do we have these locks? This works like it would.
It's an extra measure.
Or seems like an OCD person who would do this, like lock all the doors and like this.
No, it's an extra measure, and
course,
which is good.
Yeah, I see,
We have in security we have always multi-factor.
Yeah.
So if you have a lock and you have a totally different lock with different working, so they can bump this lock, but they can't bump the other one. After that, you have an alarm system, of course.
That one went off. It's not off. It might be.
Yeah.
Might be. Like we're filming from the other camera. We'll use the other cameras.
We use these. Hi.
We'll use these.
So I hope this one is still running and the other one.
They are, but that one's obviously not charging. Yeah.
And if everything fails, we have the audio.
We have the audio.
So
exactly.
we'll just show your banner and.
But no, we use the white shot and we use that one and that one. But look, it's anyway coming to an hour.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I wanted to kind of give a little short ending to all this. This is very interesting, and because I want you to come back as well.
Oh yeah,
for come back
next time.
Yeah, whatever in a couple of months or a year or whatever. When I'm doing, you come back as a guest, and we have because this is so even sooner. I would of course if you have time.
Yeah, of course we could do something about information security.
Exactly,
and all things related.
Because you're the one that I know that can actually give some expertise on this, and I want to learn more, and hopefully my audience will want to learn, even though there might be more magicians than not. But this particular part of the podcast is for the public, and I am interested in all sorts of stuff.
It's very related, right, to magic,
yes,
because
it is related.
We do know a little secret, which enables us to do.
But I believe that anything, almost like even let's say, look at a biologist or look at a painter or whoever or a doctor. They all have these like secrets because they are not, they're so deep that who's going to go and reach those secrets, and if you're not going to study being a doctor or whatever.
If you don't take the trouble to go in there and learn about it,
and we can't. And unfortunately, we're not in a Renaissance age where there was not when there was stories about history or science or biology. There was not so much knowledge. So you could be a historian, a physicist, and something, an astrologist or whatever. No, astronomer, not astrologist. So nowadays we have to choose. I mean, now to be either lose some width or like of our knowledge, or let's say the broadness of the knowledge you lose when you dive deep, right? So when
you specialize.
It's kind of like you have to, So with the end of this podcast, I want to just thank you for sharing your parts And if you want to know, like we said, and we were teasing it enough, if you want to know a little bit more about the stories. We have some good stories. So we're going to end this podcast. You can start the outro because our technical guy is our guest today.
I'll press this button here. Yes.
Exactly. And thank you again. And if you want to support us, subscribe on YouTube, and join us on Patreon to see more inside stories in magic, hacking, and we get to share even some knowledge. So see you.